everyone, this is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today I would like to discuss how to become a better submissive. And if you're somebody who is a submissive, maybe you're between relationships and you want some tips on how to be able to continue your growth even when you're not in a relationship. Maybe you're in a 30-year-long relationship and you want to find some ways to deepen your submission with your partner, or maybe you're new and you're not even really sure how to start with your submission. You're all in the right place. I'm going to be going over a lot of things that I hope many different types of submissives and many different types of relationships or stages of relationships can get something out of. And I think for those of you who are here, who are wanting to learn how to become a better submissive, you've already taken the first step. I think it's really important to have good, usually internal motivation for wanting to improve yourself. Not because somebody is telling you to, not because if you don't, the relationship will fail, but because you want to find a way to become closer to yourself in your submission, find a way to deepen that bond with your partner, find a way to improve this aspect of your life that you really, really enjoy and love and want to nurture and grow in. So congratulations, you're already starting out in the right place. Now, what I also want to discuss first, before I talk about what being a better submissive is like or how to get there, is what being a better submissive is not, because I think that's really important. And number one is being a better submissive does not mean that you will become a perfect submissive. I think it's really important. I have done an entire video where I've talked just about perfectionism and submission. And I think a lot of us who are submissives struggle with the need to be perfect or feeling like we have to be perfect in order to be good submissives. And that is not the case. It is absolutely not. BDSM is a process of growth and of finding yourself and of finding a dynamic that works for you and your partner. You can study for 3 or 4 years just mastering the art of Victorian high protocol service and you will still make mistakes. You can be doing the same thing and the same type of scene for years and years and years, and you may never get it perfect. You may get it perfect or dang close, maybe once, but it's not going to be all the time because we're human. We're submissives, but we're not robots. And it's only human that occasionally, despite our best efforts, we may not quite reach that exact level of perfection. Especially with as many different aspects as there are to submission. It's basically impossible that any one person would be able to perfect all of them because, again, we are not robots. And if you have a dominant that for some reason is expecting you to be perfect or is setting you up for failure or is blaming you for not being able to be better at something already, gosh dang it, you may want to reevaluate that a little bit because it is unrealistic to expect that anybody is ever going to be perfect at anything. So let go of that idea, please. You don't have to be perfect. I'm not going to judge you. If you are in a healthy relationship, your partner's not going to judge you. It's about getting closer to who you are and about deepening your relationship and being true to yourself more so than it is about doing every single task perfectly. And that brings me on to my second point, which is being a better submissive is not about being able to do every single thing that your dominant wants to do. That's why we have things like limits and boundaries. That is why we negotiate these relationships so thoroughly. And as nice as it would be to be perfectly compatible with our partners in every single way and be able to do every single thing that our dominant has ever fantasized about, that's just not realistic. It's just not something that can happen. Very, very rarely you will have people who have almost that one-to-one overlap, but almost always there is something that the dominant has on their list that the submissive can't do for physical reasons, for mental reasons, or because it squicks them out, or it's just outside of their limits for whatever reason, and that is perfectly okay. Being a better submissive is not about being able to do every single thing that your dominant dreams of. It's about meeting in that middle somewhere and being able to find things you can both really, really enjoy in your partnership. So if you have a dominant who really, really, really wants to do fisting, like really, really a lot, and you really don't like fisting, in fact, you don't like the idea of it, you don't like people touching your parts, you don't like anything about fisting whatsoever. You can try it, you can introduce yourself to the concept, and maybe your ideas will change. But being a better submissive is not about forcing yourself through that discomfort. just to be able to do whatever your dominant wants. And moreover, your dominant should not ever put the expectation on you that eventually your limits will change and eventually he will be able to do, or they will be able to do, or she will be able to do anything that they want to do to you or to your body, and that you will suddenly one day eventually become the complete and total pain slut who can come on command while being whipped. You may not ever get to that point, and being a better submissive is not about forcing yourself to get to that point. It's about making improvements that work for both you and your dominant together in conjunction. And finally, being a better submissive is not about changing yourself. It's not about changing what your submission looks like necessarily. And I get this a lot from people who are brats, who don't want to be brats, or in relationships with people who don't like being with bratty partners. They feel like they don't fit in with the picture of the demure, quiet submissive who does whatever the dominant wants, whenever the dominant wants, instantly, on command, and without question. But a brat really likes questioning, and they really like fighting back, and they really like being able to talk back or roll their eyes or stomp their feet when they're given an order, even if they do it anyways. And this is not about de-bratting yourself. This is not about changing your natural personality as a submissive. It's about finding ways to enhance that natural personality. It's about finding ways to improve upon it in ways, again, that work both for you and your partner in conjunction. If you are naturally a brat and you are with somebody who does not want a bratty partner at all, it is not up to you to change yourself and what naturally feels right to you. It is about working with your partner to figure out if you are compatible in that way, if you can reach a compromise, because oftentimes it's not really about the core personality itself as it is some ways that that personality is expressed that cause issue, but it's a very specific thing that needs to be discussed. And if you have somebody who is trying to train you out of being a brat, if that's not something that you want to do, you don't have to do it. And likewise, if you are that naturally quiet, demure submissive, it is completely ridiculous to suddenly expect yourself to be able to transform into the slutty bimbo whore who is a complete and total pain slut and also wants to be shown off and is a complete exhibitionist 24/7. That's probably not going to happen, and it's, again, completely unrealistic for a dominant to expect that of yourself, or for you to expect that of yourself. Go with the flow. Go what feels naturally. Don't try to make your submission look like anybody else's, because that's not what's going to work. What works is finding yourself from within and finding ways to improve on what is naturally there. You have to work with who you are. You can't turn yourself into somebody else, so please don't try. But that is enough on what being a better submissive is not, so let's go ahead and get in on how to actually be a better submissive. Surprisingly enough, this is not necessarily about being able to increase your pain tolerance. It's not about being able to orgasm on command. It is not about being able to give your partner the best blowjob that they've ever had. It's actually pretty simple. The first thing I'd recommend is working on your communication skills, because this is something that all of us can do all the time. I can do it, you can do it, my partner can do it, my boss at work can do it. Everybody can be improving their communication skills, and especially in BDSM. Even if you've been in a relationship for 6 months, if you've been in a relationship for 60 years, if you're looking for a new partner, being able to bring more skills with negotiation, more skills with your communication in general with your dominant is going to help you have better scenes, a better relationship, have a relationship that is closer to your ideal as a submissive, be able to reach subspace more easily, be able to create scenes that your dominant enjoys more, be able to express pleasure more easily, be able to use your safe words more easily. I could go on and on and on. But just being able to improve how you communicate to your partners, being able to work through any issues you have around being assertive or being too aggressive or having emotional outbursts, being able to work with all of that and being very cognizant of how you talk with your partner is so important. So if you are somebody who struggles to speak up for your needs or to use your safe words, work on that. It does not make you not submissive to outline what your needs are and talk about them proactively. And especially if you're somebody who's not in a relationship yet, refining your negotiation skills, being able to talk very completely and thoroughly about what makes you feel submissive, about what you want out of a relationship is going to make it so much better to find that relationship that you want to be in. And when you are in a 30-year-long relationship or longer, or 10 years, or however long it's been, if you have some kind of existing relationship, the negotiation and the collaboration does not stop when you sign a contract or put that collar on or move in together. It only keeps going. It's not a time to be complacent. It's not a time to decide, okay, I guess we're done. He just knows me perfectly now, or they just know me perfectly now, and it's just going to be the way that it is. The best thing that you can do for a dominant as a submissive is give them feedback. And that includes feedback on your contracts, your negotiation that you've just done, the scene that you've just had, how something felt to you, how something made you feel, what your feelings are right now in that moment. Being able to express all of those things is giving your dominant more tools to be dominant with. So give them those tools. Learn how to talk about what your feelings are. Learn how to talk about what you want out of scenes. Learn how to express, however you can, what your ideal submission looks like. What do you dream about being a submissive? Like, what motivates you to be submissive? And express that. And just generally, learning how to be a better communicator is huge. And it's something that you can take outside of your relationship and outside of your BDSM as well. So if you are interested in learning more about communication, if I can find some good resources, I will link some down in the description box below. But honestly, I think it's really just kind of about acknowledging what you're feeling and being able to practice at being your own best self-advocate. And I have tons of videos where I have talked about safe words and aftercare and all that stuff, so do watch those if you are specifically struggling in any of those areas. Now, number 2 is taking care of yourself. In order to be a better submissive, you need to be better physically, emotionally, mentally. So if you are struggling in some way with taking care of your body, work on that. Again, it's about giving your dominant tools or giving your potential dominant more tools that they can work with. If you struggle with getting enough sleep every night, if you're running on 4, 5, 6 hours every single night of the week, you're going to be sluggish. You're not going to be as attentive as you need to be to your dominant. You're not necessarily going to be able to remember your rules, and you may not necessarily have the energy for play. So being able to set yourself a bedtime, being able to improve your sleep habits will be taking care of your body and will give your dominant more space to be dominant with. If you are somebody who is constantly dehydrated, if you don't remember to eat frequently enough through the day and you frequently get tired or get a lot of headaches from dehydration, work on that. If you are somebody who struggles with being able to remember simple things like taking a shower every day or brushing your teeth or putting on clean clothes, work on that. Because what it all boils down to is taking care of yourself is taking care of something that your dominant possesses, assuming that you're currently in a relationship. You are allowing the dominant to more fully enjoy this thing that they have, which is you. By improving yourself, you are improving something of theirs, and it is a service to your dominant to be able to improve yourself, to ensure that you are getting enough water, enough sleep, getting enough protein, taking your vitamins, making sure you're keeping up with your schoolwork, all of that stuff. All of those types of improvements are really also giving back to your dominant because it's giving them more things to work with their dominant, and they're not going to worry about you as much. They're going to know that you are self-sufficient, that you are able to take care of yourself, and that you care about this thing that is theirs, which is you. So that's number 2, is being able to take care of yourself. Also, when you take care of yourself, usually it's a lot easier to do things like impact play scenes, rope bondage, so on and so forth. So you definitely also get a benefit out of it as well. If you're tired constantly or you're dehydrated, you're probably not gonna have as good of a rope bondage scene than if you had remembered to take your vitamins in the morning and hadn't stayed up until 2 a.m. playing video games, and if you had remembered to drink water. Yeah, those things matter. And that is my second point. And speaking of rope bondage, I'm going to go ahead into my third point, and that is practicing your skill set. Be that something like rope bondage, service submission, even something like pet play or DDLG. You can constantly be expanding your knowledge of that particular area of BDSM in ways that you can bring out that part of your dynamic or the part of who you are, not necessarily in everyday context, but at least in a more casual setting, or figuring out more ways that you can offer that type of submission to your dominant, or ways that you can improve upon scenes or relationship dynamics that you already have or do. So for example, if you are somebody who is interested in rope bondage as a bottom, go to classes with other bottoms, go to lunches with other bottoms, read books about rope bondage, practice self-ties so you learn how things are supposed to look and feel safely. And you can also learn what feels most comfortable on your body. Learn terminology about rope bondage. Basically, find more ways that you can be better with rope bondage. And that also includes things like physical conditioning. So you could do things like stretching, yoga, mindfulness, you could practice body awareness, you could be working on your core strength, you could be working on a lot of different things physically that have to do with rope bondage, and that would be practicing your skill set. Is it necessarily the same thing as being able to have practice time with your dominant? Not necessarily, but it's a way to improve your skill set that doesn't have anything to do with the presence of a dominant or not, and that makes it something that you can do anytime, any day, whether or not you're in a relationship. If you are somebody who is interested in improving their service submission, if they are interested in learning how to cook or clean, read books about it. Emily Post has a great book about all kinds of traditional service aspects and how to keep a home. If you are somebody who is a service submissive, who is in a long-term relationship and you've kind of gotten the basics of, okay, know how to cook and clean, and I can balance a checkbook, work on some higher level skills. Maybe take some classes on boot blacking. Maybe you can take some classes on mixology. Maybe you can learn some new fancy knife technique or something you can show your dominant the next time that you are preparing dinner. Or maybe you can learn a more efficient way of folding towels. There's all sorts of different ways that you can be working on how to be a better service submissive. You can also definitely take classes. You can also definitely do things like mentorships even. Heck, you could take all sorts of different classes that don't even have to do anything with BDSM in order to improve things like service submission. And you can also practice with yourself on these things. Like, you make yourself dinner probably most nights, right? So there's always ways you can be working on things, especially like service. If you're somebody who is in more of a pet play or DDLG focused dynamic, you can do things like research more about the particular aspect of that lifestyle. You can work on improving things to make your scenes more realistic, like maybe you practice your baby voice or your pet voice. Maybe you surprise your dominant with a new toy that you've gotten or some new thing that can be used in a scene. Maybe you brainstorm scene ideas that maybe you haven't gotten to explore before. But the key thing is exploring, coming up with ideas, and practicing and expanding your skill set. Because the more skills you have that you bring to the table, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to create a scene that is mutually enjoyable and unique. And especially if you ever find yourself in a rut as a submissive, and that is what is motivating you to want to be better, being able to add additional skills that can change your dynamic and the way that scenes have gone in the past and improve upon them is fantastic. And that is all I wanted to get to in today's video. Hopefully you guys found this interesting and helpful. If you have any ideas on how to be a better submissive, please let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. If you guys have any other comments and questions for me, please feel free to leave that down below. If you want links to my social media, if you want to see more from me, check that out in the description box. If you haven't already and you like this video, please do subscribe. I make videos twice a week. And finally, if you really like this channel, I would recommend you check out my Patreon. I have tons of exclusive perks and rewards on there. I have exclusive videos and chats and all kinds of things, so please do check that out. And until I see you guys again, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.